which are caught in the sea for food are of two main groups. The first group are those fish like herring, mackerel and the sea bream seen here, which feed near the surface. They're called pelagic fish. Because they usually swim in shoals, one way of catching them is to hang nets across their paths. These nets are called drift nets, and the fishing vessels which lay the nets are called drifters. The second group of fish are those fish such as plaice, sole and turbot which live on or near the sea bed. They're called demersal fish. They like to lie on a sandy seabed, and many of them very cleverly camouflage themselves against their background. The best way to catch bottom-living fish is to scoop or dredge them up from the sea floor, and for this a net called a trawl is used. The oldest type of trawl is the beam trawl, so called because the mouth of the net is held open by a beam of wood some 48 feet long. From medieval times until 70 years ago, this was the kind of trawl used. But in 1894, a different type of net, known as the otter trawl, was introduced, and caught so many more fish that it has largely replaced the beam trawl. The net of the otter trawl is shaped like a bag. The front opening is about 120 feet wide, and the net is between 80 and 120 feet long. The lower lip of the net is fastened to a rope called the ground rope. The ground rope is threaded through a series of metal rollers which serve the double purpose of keeping it weighted to the sea floor and allowing it to run easily over an uneven seabed. The upper lip of the net is called the headline. To it, airtight aluminium floats are attached. When the net is deep in the water, the floats try to rise upwards, and so keep the mouth of the net open vertically. The ground rope and the headline are linked at each side or wing of the net to L-shaped brackets known as butterflies. Near the butterflies, cup-shaped danlinos are sometimes fitted. From each butterfly, a rope called the quarter rope passes along the main part or belly of the net. It can easily be detached from the butterfly, but is securely spliced to the body of the net, for its purpose is to help take the weight of the net when it is hauled in. To keep the mouth of the net open horizontally, two large boards called trawl doors or otter boards are fitted to the cables which link the net to the ship. The cables are called trawl warps. Each otter board is angled so that as the net is towed by the ship, the wings are forced apart. As the net is pulled over the seabed, the fish are scooped into the belly of the net. From there, they are forced into the narrow end of the net, called the cod end. The cod end is kept tightly knotted during fishing, but can be opened to remove the fish. When full of fish, the cod end is very heavy, and a special rope called the cod end becket is used to hoist it inboard. While trawling, the hoisting end of this rope is fastened to the middle of the headline. Here are the parts of the trawl net again. The trawl warps, the otter boards, the butterflies and danlinos, the ground rope with its rollers, the headline with its floats, the quarter ropes, the belly of the net, the cod end becket, the cod end. To haul in this net, its cod end heavy with fish, and to land the catch on the deck of the trawler is no easy matter. The most usual method is by the use of side gallows, which are loops or arches made of steel girders and bolted on each side of the trawler. We can see a gallows near the bows of this trawler. Here is a deep-sea trawler with one of her gallows showing more clearly. If we stand on board a side gallows trawler and look aft, we see another gallows near the stern. The purpose of these gallows is to support the two warps or wire cables which go under the sea to the two wings of the net far below. During fishing, the two warps are locked together, But when the time comes to haul in, they're separated. Then a powerful winch on the deck of the trawler turns, and each warp is hauled through a block or pulley on its gallows until the otter boards reach the gallows and can be stowed. Winching continues until the headline of the net breaks surface and is drifted to the trawler's side. To allow the headline to be hauled aboard, the quarter ropes are used to take the strain of the net. Then the cod end becket is used to take the weight of the cod end, as the deckhands begin to heave in the loose folds of the belly of the net. It is a strenuous and, in rough weather, a dangerous task. The ship is beam to sea, or sideways to the waves, and as she rolls into a wave, the men clutch at the net. As she rolls back, they heave. Meanwhile, as the men pull, the cod end becket, the thick rope passing between the men, is winched in, until at last, under the skipper's loud hailer directions, the cod end itself is hoisted aboard, unknotted, and the catch dropped to the deck. Immediately, the net is launched once more, the winches paying out the warps. While on deck, the catch is cleaned. Every few hours, night and day, in all but the very roughest weather, this procedure is repeated, until the holds of the trawler are full of fish and she can return to port. So clumsy and laborious is the work that it's not surprising that new types of trawlers using mechanical methods of handling the trawl net have been constructed. Here is a new trawler of quite different design. Her name is Junella, and although registered at Hull, we see her here in harbour at Aberdeen. Although a trawler, the Junella is built like an Antarctic whaling ship, for at her stern she has a ramp which at sea descends to the waterline. The trawl net is not lifted on board, but is hauled up the ramp by the powerful winches, placed under cover to protect the winchmen. The various warps and ropes which haul in the net are carried not on side gallows, but on massive gantries fixed over the ramp. This type of trawler is thus known as a stern ramp trawler. The stern safety door can be lowered to allow the net to be hauled fully inboard. On stern ramp trawlers, the heavy manual labour is taken out of trawling, and the deckhands no longer face the same discomfort and danger. Moreover, they catch fish more quickly than side trawlers. Unfortunately, however, stern ramp trawlers suffer one disadvantage. They need to be large ships, for the stern ramp adds length. The longer a vessel becomes, the broader she must be to be seaworthy. Thus, although she fishes more efficiently, yet in comparison with an ordinary side trawler, a stern ramp trawler like Junella is more costly to build and more expensive to run, for she needs larger engines and more fuel. To meet these difficulties, a third type of trawler has been designed, the stern gantry trawler. Here is one in dock at Lowestoft. Her name is Universal Star. Her catch has been unloaded and her nets are hanging out to dry. In place of the 4 gallows of the side trawlers, she has one large gantry at the stern, and in place of the ramp and safety door of the stern ramp trawlers, she has a stern door which, as we shall see, hinges flat to form a ramp when needed. To see how she operates, we shall join Universal Star on a fishing trip. A few sightseers watch us leave Lowestoft Harbour and head for the trawling grounds of the North Sea. The skipper uses his sextant to check his position over grounds. Soon, the signal, "I am fishing," is displayed. Now all is ready on Universal Star, and hopes are high for good catches. On the fish deck, the hands prepare the trawl net. The wing tackle, the cup-shaped stanlinos, and the otter boards lie ready on the gantry. The cod end is hoisted to one of the top gantry sheaves on a special slipping tackle and swung clear of the stern. The slipping tackle is thrown and the cod end dropped overboard, the cod end becket being made fast for convenience to the headline. At the same time, the stern door opens and the net is streamed away overboard, the headline and its floats being the last to go. The stern door is closed and the quarter ropes are shaken free and attached to the butterflies. For the time being, the headline floats keep the net on the surface. Now the winchman stands ready to let go the warps and pay out the wing tackle. Away goes the wing tackle. Now we see that the gantry on Universal Star is not a fixed gantry, but that it pivots and can be swung aft or forward as required. Here it pivots forward to pick up the otterboards. The stowage strops on the otterboards are unhooked, and the otterboards take the strain of the net as the gantry moves aft again. Away go the otterboards, and the net sinks. 20 minutes from the start of the operation, Universal Star is fishing, with the gear on the seabed. For the next 2 or 3 hours, she sweeps up and down the trawling ground, while the deck hands clear the pounds, ready for the next catch. At the end of the sweep, the skipper orders the trawl to be hauled in. The otterboards break surface and are hoisted to their gantry blocks. The gantry is swung forward to bring them in. The gantry is operated by powerful hydraulic rams. The crew wait to hook the otterboards to their stowage strops. The boards are dropped into their stowing position. The net warps are detached and linked directly to the winch warps. Meanwhile, other winch ropes are passed through blocks on the inside of the gantry, ready to take up the quarter ropes on the net as soon as it comes up. Hauling in continues until the wing tackle of the net reaches the gantry blocks. The quarter ropes are then unhooked from the butterflies and linked to their winch ropes. Winching in these ropes brings up the headline over the stern door. The cod end becket is freed from the headline and made fast to the hoisting line. Hauling on this line then brings up the cod end weighted with fish. The gantry is once more swung forward. The whole operation can be performed by a winchman and 2 deckhands, and takes only 10 minutes. As the heavy cod end swings inboard, the bag rope, strung between the gantry arms, serves to steady it. The fish drops straight into the required pound. Immediately, the net is launched again, while some of the crew sort and clean the catch. Fish that cannot be sold are thrown back into the sea. The remainder are gutted and lowered into the hold for storage on ice. Universal Star may stay at sea for 8 to 10 days, fishing in rough weather as well as fine, by night as well as by day. But at last comes the day when her engines are once more put full ahead. The helmsman brings her round, and with her gear stowed, her holds crammed with fish, she turns for home. Trawling, like most industries, is fiercely competitive, and in the North Sea, good catches are becoming harder to find. The more efficient the trawler, the better chance she has of success. The advantage of the pivoting stern gantry on trawlers like Universal Star is that the ships can be made very much smaller than stern ramp trawlers. Thus they combine the small size and economy of operation of the side gallows trawlers with the fishing efficiency of the stern ramp trawlers. Side gallows trawler, stern ramp trawler, stern gantry trawler. The search for efficiency with economy. These nets are called drift nets, and the fishing vessels which lay the nets are called drifters. The second group of fish are those fish such as plaice, sole and turbot which live on or near the sea bed. They're called demersal fish. Trawl, so called because the mouth of the net is held open by a beam of wood some 48 feet long. From medieval times until 70 years ago, this was the kind of trawl used. But in 1894, a different type of net, known as the otter trawl, was introduced, and caught so many more fish that it has largely replaced the beam trawl. The net of the otter trawl is shaped like a bag. The front opening is about 120 feet wide, and the net is between 80 and 120 feet long. The lower lip of the net is... The fish which are caught in the sea for food are of two main groups. The first group are those fish like herring, mackerel and the sea bream seen here, which feed near the surface. They're called pelagic fish. Because they usually swim in shoals, one way of catching them is to hang nets across their paths. They like to lie on a sandy seabed, and many of them very cleverly camouflage themselves against their background. The best way to catch bottom-living fish is to scoop or dredge them up from the sea floor, and for this, a net called a trawl is used. The oldest type of trawl is the beam